Okay, so today we're going to talk about television and all the things that surround it. Viewership may be half of what it was in the 1970s and 80s, but programs like Modern Family, NCIS, and American Idol can still command a greater audience than many popular movies, books, and automobiles. My father's a huge NCIS fan, but I sort of like Modern Family.
Wasn't the greatest husband the first time around, but I'm trying to do better this time.
Happy anniversary.
Maybe by my third marriage, I'll have it down pat.
And they say we wouldn't last.
Who said that?
Each of the couples has a wonderful chemistry that you can't know until you see it.
Be honest, did you do that thing where you get frustrated and you start pressing all the buttons?
No.
When you talk to Ty Burrell, he says, Phil's mind is like a meadow. You know, he's the sweet, simpler side. I mean, Claire has 4 kids. And he's all good. He doesn't have a mean bone in his body.
Jay's a little bit stolid. He's been around a long time. Nothing too much surprises him, but he also knows he's gotta not get too set in his ways. That probably was part of why his first marriage didn't work. Gloria is this bright color that's very loud and very impulsive.
You don't say sorry anymore. That word means nothing in your mouth.
Hopefully it's a portrait of 3 couples and see the complementary nature of their relationship.
I just quit my job. Mitchell, I am used to nice things. I'm a musical theater fan. Surprise!
We knew we had to do a gay couple. It's just impossible to do a show called Modern Family without that.
It was never our intention to make any kind of political statement.
The love that those 2 people have for each other and their desire to raise their daughter in the best possible way, it becomes harder and harder not to like them. Mitchell and Cameron are 2 of the most popular characters, and they've crossed all sorts of lines and barriers.
Mitchell Pritchett and his partner Cameron.
Business partners, mergers and acquisitions. I'm kidding, we're gay.
It's a testament both to Jesse and Eric and the charm and skill they bring to the role.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh!
Look at that, 2 things flaming at once.
I'm gonna play outside.
Kids are a challenge, typically, and it really scared us in the beginning. I joked on the Emmys that we were so afraid to write for kids that we almost made this an animated show.
Who was looking at naked pictures?
That doesn't matter.
I wasn't. If it wasn't you, who was it?
Manda!
There's a reason that family shows often put the kids upstairs and then the action takes place downstairs, you know, because the kid actors aren't that good. Our kid actors were great from the beginning, so it was fun to write for them because they added this dimension to the show.
The kids have just proven to be an amazing asset, and one part of me would love to freeze them in time. And the other part of me likes what's happening because it forces the show to evolve.
So the early history of television. In the 1880s, a gentleman named Paul Nipkow develops the scanning disc. That's a rotating disc that separates pinpoints of light that transmit as they go through a series of electronic lines to make a picture. Sounds really complicated, which it was. In the next stage, in the 1920s, Zworykin invents the iconoscope. This is a TV camera tube that converts light into electrical signals. But my favorite story is about Philo Farnsworth. This was in the early 20s as well. Philo Farnsworth was a 13-year-old boy who lived on a farm. And he would get these science magazines and he would have all these ideas. And one day he was sitting up in the barn looking out at the cornfields, and he noticed how they went in rows. And that gave him the idea of why can't beams of light go in those rows and create a TV picture. How he got from sitting in the barn to getting the TV picture is, the mind of a genius. But he brings this idea to his science teacher, who thinks it's brilliant. But, it's the 20s, and he is going to school, and he's got to work, and his dad passes, and he's got to help the family. And eventually he moves to San Francisco, where he is in his studio and he's working in his lab on this idea for television. And he's just about there when someone from RCA who's heard about him knocks on the door to his lab and says, heard you're doing this thing with this, new invention called TV and love to see it. And Farnsworth, being the, nice guy that he was, thinking could do no harm, shows the guy all around, shows him what he's doing. And what does the RCA guy do? He goes back to RCA, tells him everything, and they create the television. Well, what they didn't understand was that Farnsworth had registered for a patent. And so they went to court, and in court, Farnsworth calls up his science teacher, who still has the little piece of paper that Farnsworth drew his idea on. Farnsworth wins the patent. He gets $1 million. He ends up selling the patent for $1 million, which was kind of ridiculous when you think of it now, because, I'm probably have the least amount of TVs of anyone I know, and I have 2 in my house. I've done surveys with people who say they have 8 or 10 in their home, because it's according to how many kids you have. But imagine if he just got, $1 for every TV there was. He would have been a much richer man. He went on to also invent radar that airplanes use, and also the incubator that helps keep babies alive. So he did some great things. He didn't die a rich man, though. He died, I believe, in the late 70s. Middle class. Then there was the entrepreneurial stage in the 30s and the 40s. They decide they better start regulating these things. Okay, so the NTSC outlines a coherent set of technical standards for the manufacturers of television sets. And then the FCC adopts analog standards for US TV sets. Next, the mass medium stage in the 1950s. This is where television really started to open up to the public. The FCC distributes all available channels evenly through the U.S. So no matter what state you were in, you got the same amount of channels. There were more than 400 stations altogether. RCA started to develop color, and that became the standard. Single sponsor supports and controls each program. So this was in the early 50s. One sponsor would control the entire program. It was either brought to you by Goodyear or Colgate or Buick. And here's an example.
Have a date with the angel, starring Betty White, Bill Williams as Gus Angel, presented by the Plymouth Dealers of America, who proudly sell and service the beautiful new Plymouth for 1957.
Then networks gain control. Increasing cost of sponsorship. They increase the average program length from 15 minutes to 30 minutes. And they introduce the magazine format show. And here's the first one ever.
Today, January 14th, 1952, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are in NBC's World Communications Center in the heart of Radio City, New York. We are in touch with the world. We'll tell you what's happening today. My name is Jack Lascula. And here is Dave Garrelin.
Well, here we are, and good morning to you. The very first good morning of what I hope and suspect will be a great many good mornings between you and I. Here it is, Jack said, January 14th. 1952, when NBC begins a new program called Today, and if it doesn't sound too revolutionary, I really believe begins a new kind of television. We'll be with you every day for 2 hours in the morning, just about the time you get up, 7 to 9 a.m. We're going to try very much to put you more closely in touch with the world we live in by the magnificent, unparalleled means of communication which NBC has assembled into a single room in New York. We call this room our Communications Center. From it, we'll put you in touch with the whole world and not only with news, which we'll cover as no program ever has been able to cover before, because they didn't have this many tools, but we'll give you lots of music of today, what good records are coming out tomorrow. Tomorrow in art, tomorrow in science, tomorrow and today in sports. All fields of human endeavor we think we'll be able to inform you better about, and the people who are close to you than you've had a chance to be informed before, so that as you leave the house at the end of the day, you're close to it at the beginning of the day, knowing where you're going and what the world is like that you're going into.
And then they introduced the Spectacular, which sold ad spots to multiple different advertisers, more like the way we do it now. And here's an example of some of that advertising.
Fine. Yes, I'd love to. Thanks, Jean. I'll be there. 2 o'clock. Goodbye. You know, 3 weeks ago, I couldn't have accepted that invitation. Like so many people these days, we live in the suburbs, and Dave needs the car every day for business. When he was gone, I was practically a prisoner in my own home. I couldn't get out to see my friends, couldn't take part in PTA activities. I couldn't even shop when I wanted to. I had to wait till Thursday night after Dave brought the car home. But that's all changed now. 3 weeks ago, we bought another Ford, the new low-priced custom line Victoria. Isn't it stunning? Dave has it all to himself, and I now have the ranch wagon all to myself. It's a whole new way of life. Now I'm free to go anywhere, do anything, see anybody anytime I want to. It's only good common sense. Why be stuck with one expensive car when you can enjoy all the fun and freedom of 2 fine Fords?
Today, more and more families are finding out how easy it is to become 2 Ford families. You can choose from 20 different models, colors galore, and each available with Thunderbird power, with styling inspired by the famous Ford Thunderbird, and each with the extra protection of Ford's Lifeguard design. See your Ford dealer soon.
Also in the 1950s, quiz shows became big business. There were 22 different quiz shows on the air between 57 and 58, and they were sponsored by major corporations. The problem came when we found out that many of the shows were rigged. Contestants were given the answer to heighten the suspense and attract the viewers. The most famous one was 21 by Geritol.
In the Senate hearing room, the dramatic climax of the probe of fixed and rigged quiz shows. Charles Van Doren's wife and father, poet Mark Van Doren, are in the audience as committee chairman Senator Orrin Harris opens the hearing. Charles Van Doren arrives to apologize and attempt to explain to the millions whose friendship and respect he had won. In his quiz show appearances, he also won $129,000 and earned a handsome broadcasting contract. Van Doren retracts his earlier denials of getting any assistance. He admits that he received dramatic coaching and the questions and many of the answers. But his statement is a rueful and moving realization that for his wealth and fame, he paid a bitterly high price.
In the 1940s, cable was born. It was developed out of the need for some communities who were unable to receive traditional over-the-air TV signals, mostly people that were in the mountains or on the other side of a mountain where the signal couldn't reach over. It would just bounce back off the mountain and back to the station. It was called CATV, or Community Antenna Television, and these were big giant cables that went up and over the mountain and into the valleys where they were needed. It served about 10% of our country at the time, but it did offer advantages. It eliminated the over-the-air interference, and it offered more channels, and then eventually became popular in the late 70s. Many Americans switched from reading the newspaper to television. Meet the Press in 1947, the oldest show on the air now. ABC, CBS, and NBC dominate national television from the 60s to the 80s. I don't know where you grew up, but in New Jersey, we had the New York stations. ABC, NBC, CBS, and PBS was our last one, or our local station. CNN began 24/7 news in the 80s, and network news viewership starts to go down because of cable. The competition from cable and the internet was hurting the network news. Now some styles of television that were prominent through the 70s, 80s, 90s, sketch comedy, hour-long variety show. My favorite TV show of all time and why I went into the entertainment business, Carol Burnett. This is one of the block videos, so if you'd like to watch Carol Burnett, you can find it here. The Carol Burnett show spawned shows like Saturday Night Live, which was on for, that says 4 years. It's supposed to be 40 years. On the air for a long, long time. Watched it in high school. It started in 1976. The hard part about sketch comedy shows is that they require fresh content and new sets every week, so it's more costly that way. And then there's the situation comedy or sitcom. The original, The Honeymooners.
What about the other copper that's waiting downstairs? What about him, huh?
Nothing. He'll be gone in the morning.
But we can't stay here all night.
Why not? We got the police protecting us.
Please, please, go away. We won't say anything.
Look, I just proved to you I wasn't going to say
Shut
anything.
up!
Look, Danny, what about Marty in the
Don't
car?
worry
huh?
about Marty. He was smart enough to duck. When the cops showed, he'll come back when they're gone.
Look,
Don't you?
I don't like this. I don't like the idea of staying here all night.
I didn't ask you what you liked.
Please, please, will you go away?
All right. Stick him up. Get him up. Who is it?
Hey, Johnny, have you got my water pistol in there?
These shows are half-hour format. They emphasize zany plots over character development. We all know wonderful shows like I Love Lucy, Seinfeld, 30 Rock, and Modern Family. The anthology, this was influenced by stage plays. It was expensive and not very appealing to the American mainstream. Masterpiece theater, masterpiece mystery. Americans really didn't catch on to these shows too extensively. Episodic series, on the other hand, very popular. These are chapter shows. They're self-contained stories like House, CSI, The Closer, and then there's serial programs with a continuing storyline like the epic Roots, The X-Files, and daytime soap operas. Other network-type programming, talk shows like The Tonight Show, TV magazine format shows like 60 Minutes, and reality television like Extreme Makeover, if that is even still on the air, I don't think so, and American Idol. Public television was created in the 1960s. It was created for viewers underserved by commercial television. The Public Broadcasting Act of 1967 creates PBS, with wonderful shows like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Barney, Sesame Street.
Look right in there, Bert.
In there?
See right in there? Yeah, look a little closer. See who it is? See, Bert?
Oh, yeah. Well, hi. Boy, I sure am glad it's you.
Sunny day, sleeping up,
I don't think I've ever seen you before here on Sesame Street.
Everything happens here. You're gonna love it.
how to get to Sesame Street.
Oh, rubber ducky, you're the one. You make bath time lots of fun.
C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. C is for cookie, that's good enough.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The ladybugs came to the ladybugs picnic.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I love counting. Whatever the amount.
Nasty Dan, he's a happy man.
Yeah.
Hard to understand that nasty Dan.
Wow, that was really great.
You like
and
that?
say, aren't you Johnny Trash?
Cash.
Huh.
Have a rotten day.
Yeah, wow. There goes my kind of guy.
The evolution of cable programming. Basic cables, channels appearing to special interests such as ESPN, Nickelodeon, BET, and then specialized information like 24/7 news and financial news and international news. They also have specialized entertainment, things like the Food Network and History Channel, and my favorite, HGTV. MTV came in 1981, which revolutionized the music industry. And then there's premium cable, HBO, which inspired more stations to have original program. AMC and Bravo offer innovative content. And then there's pay-per-view, video on demand. They offer innovative viewing options for a fee. The primetime access rule of 1970, this reduced the network control of primetime television from 4 hours to 3 hours. This was an attempt to encourage more local programming to happen, which only led to the rise of infotainment programs like Entertainment Tonight, specifically syndicated programming, which was Oprah's genius move, is that she started syndication. She didn't start syndication, but she started her show as a syndicated show, and the show went to the highest bidder. That's why anywhere in the country you can see it on ABC, and then in another part of the country, NBC, and then CBS. She went and sold her package to the highest bidder, and that's syndication. Then the FinCin rules, that's the financial interest in syndication. This banned networks from running their own syndication companies at the time. It was eventually phased out in the 1990s, but it was to try to keep, more available for free and open trade. The FCC rules of 1972 allowed cable to expand. They had a must-carry rule. Cable must carry local stations. And then access channels and lease channels came along. Here's the link for the Public Access Georgia. We're not going to go to that link, but it's your TV. It's the Public Access TV of Georgia. The Midwest Video case of 1979. This was to answer the question, were these companies publishers or were they carriers? And the U.S. Supreme Court declared that cable is a form of electronic publishing, and they got to retain the right to dictate their own content. The Telecommunications Act of 1996 eliminated ownership restrictions and regulatory barriers. The thought was to create competition and lower prices. All it really did was open up the doors for all these companies to merge into these giant conglomerates. Home video in the digital age. We had VCRs, DVDs, DVRs, you name it, we had it. Now most of them are out the window. This changed our notion of primetime television. You can watch TV anytime. DVRs allowed advertisers to track viewers, as done in the Nielsen's. And the internet further transformed our viewing habits, created alternative forms of content. Direct broadcast satellite, DBS, or Dish, had more TV options and bundles with internet service. And now cell phones, mobile video, WiMAX covers long distance of wireless connections. And here's a sample of the Nielsen's.
Our company always has to commit itself to 100% transparency to our media clients, to the agencies, to everything.
We have been in the television measurement business since 1950. The expertise and the knowledge that we bring to measurement is critical.
The quality of that measurement is paramount. Impartiality, thoroughness, accuracy, and integrity in our measurement, I see it in everything we do. It goes right to the heart of measurement science.
The concept is simple. Measure what media people consume, measure who the people are.
At Nielsen, our brand is not just trusted by the media companies and by the advertisers. The Nielsen brand is trusted by consumers. The rate at which consumers are willing to accept being measured by Nielsen is really quite astounding.
At the Nielsen Company, we really understand how critically important the ratings are to our clients' business.
We work around the clock, 365 days a year. The story of every day is do it once and do it right.
Delivering complete and accurate program ratings is what it's all about.
Accuracy will always be the most important thing. We have a very strong sample design. We have a very powerful sample selection process that ensures representation across all of America.
You've got to go recruit the right panel, make sure it's robust.
Cooperation really is at the heart of what we do.
We have a very strong recruitment strategy to ensure we're getting the highest levels of response from those homes that we actually do select.
No two homes are alike. That's why we have to have such a comprehensive training program.
And we have very powerful systems to collect that data, to process that data, to be able to report that data in a simplified, comprehensive manner so that our clients can maximize their business strategies.
Every day we think about how to measure all media globally.
We recognize the vital importance for our clients of making sure that they get credit for the viewing that they have invested in.
If it can be measured, it has value.
The thing I feel really good about is our willingness to embrace change.
There's an urgency for change. There's an urgency to value an audience and understand it and understand consumer behavior.
We at Nielsen have the same goals. We all want the most accurate information which is available. We want it to be stable, but we also want to be able to bring in new data sets which are available. We want to be able to provide as quickly as possible cross-platform.
There's no one who's done more than Nielsen to prepare for the future.
The future of measurement is all about speed, precision marketing, and data integration.
We're all looking for that next audience opportunity.
We've spent years really working with clients to come up with a priority set of what Nielsen needed to measure. And out of those meetings came a really clear strategy of anytime, anywhere media measurement. I think that that strategy is the number one thing that advertisers, media companies, distributors can agree on.
Clients are already working with us to accurately measure online video. Every single day we get more data. Every single day we're getting better technology.
Which will enable us to take insights from our mobile business, from our core TAM, television audience measurement business, and our online business together.
There will be more content on mobile devices. Nielsen will measure it in much the same way that we measure online.
And we're working really, I think, quite quickly to come to a much richer understanding of what's happening with consumers.
I think the advantage of having the Nielsen long view is that we understand how the marketplace operates. We understand how buyers and sellers want to talk about advertising.
There's nobody better positioned than Nielsen to be able to provide these insights for our customers. It really is, at this moment in time, the greatest opportunity for us to work closely with our clients, closely with our technology partners, in bringing solutions that really change the game.
And if I wanted to convey anything about Nielsen, I just want to say, look, I want to get there faster than you do. Whoever you are, media company, advertising agency, right? Marketing. I want to get there fast. It's hard work. It requires lots of collaboration, and I'm really willing to take risks, and so is the Nielsen enterprise. Give us a hand.
Money in. Syndication. I just spoke about that with Oprah. Leasing to executive rights to on-air older TV shows. What this is it happens in Las Vegas every year. All of the smaller TV stations and larger ones go to a convention and they buy the rights to old TV shows in some cases. It used to be that you had to have 24 episodes. Well, in the old days it was 2 seasons, which there were 24 episodes in a season. So in order to just be considered, you had to have at least 48. Now they seem to be doing it much quicker. This is deals that are made and package deals that are made, like Friends. Friends get sold to everybody. But I would assume some of the package deals they make are like Friends. Okay, if you want Friends, you also have to take, what's not even popular anymore, Home Improvement. Gosh, is that even in reruns anymore? But reruns and syndication are sort of the same thing. They don't rerun a show anymore. They buy them in packages. Oprah first run syndication, as was Wheel of Fortune. They decided to make the shows specifically for syndication, sell them in packages to the highest bidder. Also money in advertising. Obviously from the Nielsen ratings, they can determine the success of shows and they can help where the advertising dollars should go. Subscriptions like cable, Viewers pay monthly fees for their cable service, and then they pay premium to get HBO and Showtime. And if you look at some of the highest priced broadcast shows on television, you'll see football still wins out at $593,000 for a 30-second spot of advertising. Modern Family's way up there too, as is American Idol. Big Bang Theory still on top. So there's a lot of shows that make a heck of a lot of money for advertisers, or cost advertisers a lot of money in order for them to make a heck of a lot of money. Money out, production costs. Production costs are huge. Below the line costs are about 40% of the budget. Those are the people behind the scenes, the special effects, the cameras, the crews, the sets. The above the line costs, even more money, 60% of the budget. Those are the actors, the writers, the producers, the editors, the directors, the talent, they like to call them. Not that the crews and the cameramen are not talent, but they're just separated in above the line and below the line. Then there's distribution. Networks pay affiliates to show programs in return for ad time. And this happens regularly. Networks own affiliates only in larger markets like New York and Los Angeles. Ownership and consolidation, this is happening everywhere. It's mostly happened. Seems like there's only 3 companies left in the whole country, but many corporations are consolidating and have been acquiring other smaller companies. For example, Disney owns ABC, GE owns NBC, and then there are MOSs, multiple system operators, where it's the telephone and the cable and the network are all owned by the same company. They just combine and they conglomerate.